Okay, call to order this meeting of the Piqua Board of Education. So if everybody would please join and pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everybody and visitors. Jeremy, roll call please.
Mr. Height.
Here.
Mr. Frazier.
Here.
Mr. Ford.
Here.
Mrs. McMacken.
Here.
Mr. Bostic.
Here. Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Okay, if we could have an approval, get a motion for approval of the minutes for the August 26th meeting.
So
And-
moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, measure carries. Now I need a motion for approval of tonight's agenda.
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that carries. Okay, board reports.
Mr. Bostic, before we go any further, I do want to let everybody know that Mr. Thompson is with us from home, virtually, right here, as a part of the meeting. Unfortunately, he's quarantined, but he will be with us tonight, so I'll let everybody know that.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on here, we have board reports. Mr. Height, Upper Valley.
We have no report to make because we don't meet again until Monday night, so there's nothing to share.
Okay. No agenda items for hearing. Okay, Mr. Hiddle, Treasurer's Report and agenda. Well, before we go on, since you're just going to do the one section, can we get a motion to move on the Treasurer's agenda here, just to open it up for discussion and questions?
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, opposed, same sign. Okay, Mr. Hiddle?
You guys all received the monthly financial reports. Were there any questions about those? The next thing on my list tonight is the FY22 appropriations. We have a balanced budget in place. The grand total of general fund is $38,521,631.23. And the total of all funds that we're appropriating this year is just shy of $59 million. Any questions about the appropriations?
Thank you.
The only other thing I have on here tonight is our salary adjustments. And those are done twice a year. These are the teachers who have completed their some of their coursework, and we're reimbursing them for their coursework that they took, as well as doing some column adjustments for those who have gotten their master's degree or master's plus 30, those kind of things. So this is the action to approve those changes. Any questions about that? It's pretty simple tonight.
Yeah,
That's all I've got.
okay. On the vote, do we need a roll call, Mr. Hiddle?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to vote on the treasurer's agenda?
So move.
Did we already do that?
Yeah, well, I guess we don't have to, since we already opened it up. Just roll call, Jeremy.
Mr. Bostic,
Aye.
Mr. Height,
Aye.
Mr. Ford,
Aye.
Mrs. McMacken,
Aye.
Mr. Frazier.
Aye.
Okay. Measure carries. That it, Mr. Hiddle?
Yep.
Okay. Superintendent's report.
I am happy to introduce the Executive Director for the Piqua Education Foundation, Katie Newbert, who will be here talking about the Piqua Promise campaign. One of the amazing things that PEF does for our students and the community. So Katie, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me here today and allowing me some time on your agenda. Really quick, I wanted to just kind of update, I understand most of the people in this room are familiar with the Piqua Education Foundation, but I'd like to update people who may not be as familiar with us. I'd like to talk about the Piqua Promise 5. I want you all to remember that number 5. And then I'm going to talk about why we can't do this without you all. So, a little bit of history. In 1985, a group of Piqua neighbors, family and friends got together, sat around a table, much like you all are today, and they saw a need in our community to really make a difference in supporting our students. And their mission then and our mission today is to work with you to enhance the Piqua educational opportunities and experience. And we do that in a number of ways that basically boils down to our grants, which go to our school students that are our students who are still in school, and our faculty and staff to help supplement their curriculum, and our scholarships for our graduates. We're really excited that this year in the spring we hit the $5 million mark. So that's the first 5 that I wanted you to be thinking about. We're really proud of that. But again, we couldn't have done that without the name scholarships, people coming together in our community to really say we stand behind our students. And the one that we're in the middle of a campaign for right now is our Piqua Promise. The Piqua Promise is our scholarship that the whole district has really been around, rallying around since we started it in 2016. And what we're focusing on right now are those forgotten costs, right? We all think about tuition. We hear all the stories about tuition is so expensive, so expensive, so expensive. But in Ohio, the average cost of those hidden fees of books, of the tech fees, and all of those other little fees that add up is about $1,800. So that means that one of our students, they could have full scholarship to go academically to a school of their choice in Ohio and yet still not be able to go for lack of $1,800. So we have a Piqua Promise. And our promise, our goal this year is that by next Thursday, a week from this Thursday, or a week from today, we're going to have $9,000. Again, 5 scholarships for 5 of our students, our seniors right now who are going to be graduating. And then it comes back to you. Couldn't do this without you. And I have a QR code right here, and you're able to use this to follow and go to that website and donate. You can even decide, hey, you know what, this is something I want to really support, and you can create your own page that you can do crowdfunding on your social media. And again, this comes back to you. So right now we have a building challenge that is going on, and you'll see right at the top up there is the Board of Education, right? Can you imagine if we're able to go to all of our students and say, you know, the Board of Education, they work hard every day, but they're standing behind you with the Piqua Promise. And the thing is, and when we go to all of these schools, we've been telling them, it's not about can you give $1 million, it's about participation. Again, can you imagine if we can say, hey, Piqua graduate, 70%, 80%, 100% of your district is standing behind you with the Piqua Promise. So we're challenging all of them, everyone to get involved, as many people, give it a level that you feel that is comfortable for you and meaningful for you. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you on behalf of our board members, and thank you on behalf of all of our scholars. And thank you for letting me talk today.
Any questions for Katie? Katie, thank you very much, and thanks for the work that you do with Piqua Education Foundation. It's incredibly beneficial for our staff and students. So.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to add one thing. So you guys all probably remember, and for everyone else out there, I am the delegate to the Piqua Education Foundation for the school board. So I, of course, have donated to this cause, and as the Piqua Board of Education is one of the buildings listed, I'm gonna challenge you guys to join me in donating for the Piqua Promise so that we can win.
Absolutely, we
And
want to be the
get- And of
champions.
course, donate to our students so that we can provide great scholarships for them. But even better, we can be believers.
Thanks, Kelly.
And it's super easy, super easy. It takes a minute, less than a minute. You just log right on.
The electronic
and-
donation.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep.
Or you can do cash. It's
Thank you.
easy.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Okay. Did we introduce Nolan again at the beginning? I just
No,
want to
we
make
did
sure
not.
Nolan Campbell, our student rep, he doesn't get to be in the roll call, so I just wanted to make sure everybody knew Nolan was with us again tonight. So, thanks, Nolan. Building updates, at this point, we want our principals to share just a brief piece of information about kind of the work that they've done with their building leadership teams and their district leadership teams to prepare for the beginning of school and what that's looking like right now. So I think Ross is going to kick that off for us, and then we're going to get those guys out of here too. Thanks, Ross.
Thanks, Mr. Lyons. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, so as Mr. Lyon mentioned, some of the work that we've done really started at the end of last year. We just looked at where our building was, where our district was, and really wanted to make sure we were aligning to ensure that we were growing kids the way that they needed to be grown. So that work started at the DLT level, which is, you'll hear that maybe a couple times tonight, which is our district level team. At that level, we really looked at our building and said, this is what we need to focus on in order to accomplish that mission. And we, some of the things that we're looking at is ensuring that collectively we are embedding district adopted curriculum in our classrooms and really strong instructional strategies that are going to help our kids grow. So we got that together at the DLT level. We brought our BLT folks in, which is our building level teams, got them embedded in that work, started really focusing on some goals, how we were going to accomplish those goals. We've also hired some coaches for the year that are going to help our staff members with that work. That's been really good so far. And then now that all that work that has been done focusing on those goals is being looked at our grade level teams or our teacher-based teams, and they're really working together to plan that out in order for us to reach that. And all that work then, again, goes back to the DLT level for us to analyze, look at it, and take supports back to our building. So it's quite a bit, but it's going really well. So,
Good.
all
Thank
right.
you. Any questions for Ross from Spring Creek?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Jeff?
Ross.
Good evening. At the junior high, 3 key focuses for us this year that we've honed in on, the same process that Ross talked about starting last spring. First thing is really utilizing our teacher-based team meetings. We meet in departments at the junior high every other week, and really using student data to understand what our instruction is doing, how effective it is, intervention strategies we need to put in. So that's goal number 1 across the board for all of our teams. So we're hitting that hard. Secondly, we've worked really hard to try to focus on having students use good writing strategies no matter what class they're in, all across the curriculum, all across all the content areas. Our ELA folks kind of headed that up, and even our math, science, social studies people now are taking some key expectations for writing, student writing, and implementing those across the board. Students are being asked to do things in math that they have always been asked to do in ELA. A little bit uncomfortable for kids sometimes because they feel like that when they're in ELA they expect that, but now they're being expected to do that across the board, and it's going really well. It's fun to hear our social studies and math and science teachers having those expectations for kids. Our third goal that we're really hitting is related to our Success Bound initiative, and it's really just getting kids in the habit of doing certain things every day to make sure they're successful as students, checking email, checking their grades, really focusing in on different academic components each day. During our advisory period, we're taking each day is dedicated to one content area. So if students don't have other specific assignments to be working on, they have a bank of activities in math on Monday that they can work on and so forth. So those are kind of the three big things that we're hitting at the junior high.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeff? Rob?
How's it going? So we got, also we're working on 3 different goals. Our kind of approach, obviously I'm gonna keep saying district leadership team and all that, you guys have picked that up. At the high school, we wanted to look at 3 different avenues. Obviously, the last year and a half has been pretty difficult for us, trying to get things put together. We knew that we were gonna see huge gaps in learning. So we wanted to make sure that we went in this year with a strong mind of how we were going to address these kids. And we really looked back and did a lot with our curriculum mapping, just to make sure that we could get teachers online, we could get everybody doing the same things pretty much, which gives us a lot more flexibility to move kids so that we can do a lot more grouping. What we're seeing in a lot of classes now, where our teachers, amazing teachers, have hit the ball or already started running with this. We have a lot of small group strategies going on to address some of those kids that we've, that didn't get where they are, but also having those group strategies that did things and they're ready to fly. So it's been pretty remarkable to see how that's worked out. So that was our first goal. Our second goal, getting back to our success bound, one thing that we noticed when we started looking through our testing data is that our kids were, especially last year, really did not perform well in critical thinking and analysis. We found that a lot of the kids just weren't even answering those questions. If they had to sit down and think about it, they just chose not to do it. And so we wanted to address that. So we have our teaching staff is really incorporating some activities. I know like the math teachers are doing a question to start the day all the way across that's really just critical thinking and analysis so that they start building that comfort level back up that we lost. And then our last goal is going to be social emotional. And provide social and emotional learning supports for our students. Once again, the last couple of years have been very tough. We are definitely seeing that, what has happened with these kids. The biggest thing is that we felt is that we are always, as adults, always projecting what we think the kids need. And that was, and we're missing the mark. So this year, we're working with Mindy, and we're getting a social emotion. We're doing, actually, the students are going to be doing a survey so that we can better identify their needs instead of just projecting what we think they need on them. So we're kind of excited. We don't have that done yet. It's coming soon. After that, we'll really be able to define how we need to work with our kids. So that's where we're at Piqua High School. Any questions?
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Mr. Butler.
All right, thank you for the opportunity today. So at Piqua Central, one of our goals in coming off a year removed from the digital learning piece, and even as last year we had some kids on digital learning, we know one of the things that was lost during that was parent communication. So our first building goal is designed by ramping up that communication, really getting our parents involved into how we're teaching students, what are they doing well, what can they improve on, and really making a focus to communicate with our parents as much as possible, and differentiating, understand that work schedules and life, some parents communicate better through text and email, some like the old school phone call, some use apps on their phones. So really making sure we're communicating with our parents as much as possible. Our second goal is focused around reading and incorporating more reading strategies across the board. So at fourth grade, students are broken into 4 different classes. They have language arts, they have math, they have science, and they have social studies. But understanding it's a team approach to improving kids' reading scores. Some kids need more than just that 65 minutes they get. So how can we incorporate reading strategies into our social studies, into our science, and into our math? Our third and final goal is taking a look at math facts fluency, understanding that we really feel that to improve our math scores, not only at our building, but as they go to 7th and 8th and into high school. The research is showing that if students are solid on their math fact fluency, that's going to help them as they progress on. So what our DLT designed was kind of a universal system that all of our teachers use to track that in reading and in math. And that is filtered down to our BLT, and we take a look at that data and how our students are progressing in their reading and their math fact fluency in our teacher-based teams. So, kind of getting back to some fundamentals of communicating with parents, working on our math facts, and getting better at reading at Piqua Central. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Butler. Last and definitely not least,
Oh, definitely least.
Mr. Hughes.
So here at Washington, we are a lot like Spring Creek. We've been collaborating a lot all summer long, and some of the things that we're doing is working on improving our reading and math scores as well, improving our reading and math instruction and how we're utilizing the curriculum. Some of the things that we have worked on this year is we've added a new STEM lab that we are hoping and knowing that is going to help increase the students' ideas and ability to critical think and apply the math knowledge. We had our specials teachers and encore teachers work together. How are they incorporating literature and reading into their specials as well? So went by the art room this morning. She was reading a story to the students that then applied to what they were doing in the classroom. So everything has been a big push on reading and math and trying to help increase those students' abilities there. Okay.
Great, thank you, Mr. Hughes. Any
Thanks,
questions for any of the principals? Okay. Thank you all. You're obviously welcome to stick around for the meeting, but you certainly don't need to. But thanks for everything. We appreciate it.
You guys got it.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, guys.
Compliance officers, that's yearly. We have to update you on who those folks are as it relates to responsibility to the policy of the Board of Education. And those people are yours truly, Tony Lyons, and Melinda Glazer from the Treasurer's Office. So that's the update on that. And then they talked a little bit about the DLT. That's something we have put into place. And I know we've had 2 meetings that have been full DLT meetings, and then we kind of started another one early to get things kicked off with our team. And we've had some board members who've been able to attend the DLT meetings, and I feel you talk about strength in numbers with collective efficacy and people on the same page. That feels good really right now, and I didn't know if any of you who were able to attend the most recent district leadership team would like to say what you thought, saw, or anything like that.
I was sent with the Spring Creek teachers, and, a lot of in-depth thinking, a lot of how can we do this better, what can we do well. So I think they were really taking a hard look at how they want to address things. So it was a good afternoon.
Good. And I think that was consistent, it's all coming down to how can we help our students grow? I mean, at the end of the day, you hear a lot of different kind of pieces to the puzzle, but that's the bottom line. How can we help them grow from where we're getting them right now? So it's a good feeling. I think we're going to see a lot of success from that, putting the DLT process back in place. So thank you guys for being there. And that's it for the superintendent's report.
Okay, so before you go into the superintendent's agenda, I'd like to make a motion so we can get into this and have discussion, question, and vote. It's not too long, so may I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Opposed, same sign, okay. Tony, go ahead.
Recommend board approval of the attached list of donations and grants to the Piqua City School District. And this month, we have donations from the Applegate family to the Piqua City Schools, aviation class equipment supplies, the Hinch family to PJHS Social Studies and Revolutionary War Collections, GK Electric Guy Comer to the PHS Golf Team, and French Oil to the PCIS STEM and PBIS at that building. So once again, thank you for everybody who donates. Amazing, great support out there in the community. Additionally, number 2 is recommend board approval of the enrollment of Lila Rose Potiron of France at Piqua High School for the 2021-22 school year as a foreign exchange student through the ASSE International Student Exchange Program. And then number 3 is very similar. This is the enrollment of Pin Jun Wong of Taiwan, Piqua High School for the 2021-22 school year as a foreign exchange student through the ASSE International Student Exchange Programs. And that's all I have for the agenda.
Okay.
So that's 3 total
I
exchange
think that's 3
students.
total that you've approved so far, yeah. And we have a great connection and locally that helps with those, so it really makes it efficient, so.
Nice.
Great kids.
So I guess I covered that with the motion and vote.
Yes.
Yep. So, moving on. Now, Tony's not trying to take over. Tony has this section, correct?
Yes,
Mr.
I do,
Lyons,
and
he's
I'm
got
not-
personnel agenda.
It appears long, but a lot of that's some repetitive things in there. One of the things you see there is we are able to, you know, we're struggling with subs this year, even more than,
We need to vote on
Okay.
the superintendent's agenda.
Okay. Motion?
Didn't we already vote on that?
No,
We
we
just
had
have
the
a motion
motion,
and a
we
second.
need to vote on it.
Yeah, okay.
Just call for vote.
Gotcha.
All right. All right, motion for vote.
Yeah, call
Or
for
just vote. All in, Jeremy, are we roll calling or just,
All in favor? It's fine.
okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, okay, passes. Okay, sorry, Tony.
that's all right.
Go ahead.
Jumping back into the personnel agenda there, there are a few of the year-long subs. We've been able to secure 3 of those right now. Some really good people that are willing to be in the trenches every day and make sure if we have a hole somewhere because we're not able to fill it, that they're able to get in there. And then if we get to a place where we're not using them, we pull students in small groups and help the kids extra, so that we're actually utilizing those folks. So I wanted to point that out. And then obviously picking up some additional substitute teachers as well. And we were able to, with the most recent information that went out about bus drivers, we were able to pick up 3 new fully trained people. So, and you guys are aware of how much of a challenge that's been at the beginning of this year, so that's gonna be really, really good for us. So I just wanted to point that out. And then, obviously, we're gonna be running a civil service test in 2 weeks. That date will be published in the newspaper. I don't have that in front of me right this second. We'll also put it out on Facebook, and that'll be for 2 areas, particularly custodial and again for transportation, okay? So, and we always talk about those positions. They're extremely valuable, and especially in times like this when people are out a lot. So we have to be able to get those kids to school, and those folks do an incredible job with 60 people behind them. So something I would never be able to do. So at any rate, that's the personnel agenda, unless you have questions for me. Thank you.
Okay. Motion to vote on personnel agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Opposed, same sign. Okay, passes. Okay, hearing of the public on non-agenda items. We have 2 people here tonight. And first, just before we get started, just to review for everybody, we have 5 minutes, so I'll try to give you cues. I'm not trying to just, yeah. Okay. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. If you're done earlier, that's fine. So, and 20 minutes on any topic total, so we don't have to worry about that tonight. But just wanted to review. So first, we have Mrs. Alice Mars.
State my address.
Yeah, come on up to the mic there, if you would, please.
I fear public speaking more than COVID, so bear with me.
Oh, just, hey, you're all right. We all know you, Alice. So.
I know that Dwayne said that we're different than Troy, but after watching the Troy board meeting and the announcement yesterday to Piqua staff and teachers, it feels a little like it's headed the Troy direction. So I worked on this all week, had to change it a little bit, so I'm going to just read. My name is Alice Mars. I am the mother of 2 students at Piqua City Schools. I'm here to first thank you for your hard work and dedication to the Piqua students. I can't imagine when you decided to sign up for these positions that you had any idea the true magnitude and responsibility you'd face or the decisions you would have to make, especially the ones over the past year. I also want to thank our teachers, custodians, bus drivers who work tirelessly to keep our schools' buses clean and sanitized to the best of their ability. Those are your responsibilities, and you've executed them well. But personal health choices and medical decisions, including masks for our children, belong to us as parents, not the schools as educators. Almost every Ohio school mandated masks last year, and I know you're being pressured to do it again. But if masking kids really worked, I wouldn't be standing here right now, and we wouldn't be having that discussion. It did not work. So why we would even consider to do that again, I don't know. But if we allow our children to be masked, forced into masks again this year, we will forever be masking our kids. I've had children in Piqua City schools for 10 years. Last month was the first school meeting I've ever attended. Why? Because before last year I had complete trust in our schools to make the best decisions for my children while in their care. 2020 shook that trust, and the reality is we shouldn't even need to show up to these meetings to voice our opinions on the mask issue because we do it quietly every day. All you have to do is look around. If you walk into any school in this district, 90% or higher of the students are not wearing masks. That's because that's what we as parents have chosen. I encourage you all to take notice. I was less than thrilled to hear that teachers and staff are being forced back into masks starting Monday. If the school doesn't trust them to make safe choices for themselves around our kids, how am I supposed to trust them with mine? We as parents are more than willing to co-educate with our schools, from volunteering, fundraising, supplies, and levies. Parents, step up. We have and will continue to co-educate with you, but please remember that at the end of the day, your students are our children. And I know that I'm not alone in saying we will not co-parent. I also want to end by reminding all of you that the unintended consequences of masks and these other protocols. I want to remind you all that this community lost more children to suicide last year than COVID. I belong to a group called Ohioans for Traditional Schooling. There's probably no better detectives than 11,000 mothers worried about their kids. They have called hundreds of schools in Ohio, and the difference between mandated mask schools and unmandated is 0.2% in COVID cases. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you very much. Okay, next. We have, now, I'm imagining this is the student, correct?
Oh, no, that's my name. My parents
That's
gave
your
me,
name,
I'm
okay,
pretty sure.
okay.
My name's Dustin.
Dustin.
So if anybody's
Okay.
like, why is she saying that? It's because my parents are
Okay,
pretty sure.
Dustin Fessler.
So I don't have any nice, beautiful speech. I just kind of have bullet points, more or less, of needing things kind of answered. Kind of on the not opposing side of hers, we're in agreement to a certain extent. She'll probably agree with 90% of it. When all the COVID cases started coming in this year, it was like wham, 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 like back to back. The first notification was sent via email, and that was it. The headline of the email was called Parent Message. I don't know how many, probably 5 emails a day I get from Spring Creek about my kid. And usually the subject line will be like YMCA soccer. Well, I know that's not going to pertain to my kid, so I delete it. If my sister wouldn't have opened the email, I would have had no idea that that was pertaining to COVID cases in my son's school. I kind of felt like the lack of urgency or importance on that matter should have been handled in a different way. 2 days before school started, everybody who was attending Spring Creek, I know for sure, got a phone call. And if you didn't answer, you got a voicemail. Welcome to Spring Creek. You know, we're looking forward to this year, blah, 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 blah. I'm confused on why that type of communication wasn't presented for there being COVID outbreaks within the school. Now, my son is a pulmonary patient. That's why I kind of am a little bit more headstrong with this. He gets a common cold and we're in the PICU. He's 5 years old, and he's going to get introduced to things, but COVID would take him out. He would be done. Therefore, I feel like those type of issues are important for parents to know, because like she said, it's the parents' right to make that decision if they do want to continue to keep sending their kid to school with or without a mask. But my problem was like, why was it handled with such little urgency? That's one of my questions. I don't know if you guys want to speak in between them or not, or if you just want me to go through and then, I guess, do that.
Whatever you're most comfortable with.
It doesn't matter to me, to be honest with you.
I
Just
just-
proceed, and then at the end, just answer it all?
Sure.
Okay. Also, I know that there's an app, there's texting, emails, and phone calls, all available for communication between parents and the school. I also want to know why all 4 ways of those communications were not implemented for that case as well. And why all avenues weren't exhausted. Also, I have a friend who has 3 sons, all attend the same school. 2 of them are twins, and the other is a kindergartner. One of the twins received a letter sent home. It looked identical to the email that everybody received. I think the only difference was the last line in the first paragraph. I looked over it and didn't even see that it said, we're just informing you there's a kid in your class that has COVID. Ours just said in Spring Creek. So there was a slight difference. It could have easily been overlooked. I feel like that maybe should have been addressed a little differently, maybe headlined, and again, a phone call would have been, in my opinion, appreciated on her end, because both her twins are in separate classes, and then she has a kindergartner. So if this kid was possibly exposed, now there's 2 other classes that could possibly have been exposed. If he had been exposed, brought it home, and then brought it back. The next day, she received a phone call saying that she needed to come pick up her son because the person sitting beside her son had it. So now that is 2 confirmed in that class. Now see, that worries me because now you've got not only that son, but you've got 2 other kids and her niece who also resides with her. So 3 other children in 3 different classes than the confirmed case, where it could just have spread easily. I feel like quicker communication, parents' decision could have been made at a quicker rate if they would have known, if that makes any sense. And also, how does the health department clarify direct communication for the COVID outbreak? Yes.
No, just giving you
Oh.
1 minute. No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. I didn't want to interrupt, but I tried to
And then my other questions, what
Can I ask
guys?
you for clarity on the last thing you
Yes,
said?
yes.
The health department, can you ask that question again?
How does the health department notify parents of direct close
it.
exposure
Okay.
for the COVID? Because in the email it did state like the health department would be in contact.
Right.
So I wanted to know what that direct contact was, because my friend only received the letter in her son's folder that had water spill all over it and crumbled up like this, handed to her. So my point is you're going to trust a first grader to get home this important paper. That's not a direct contact, in my opinion. Also, what are the guidelines that you guys are put in place for the safety measures going forth this year? I know last year I spoke with the nurse and she kind of gave me some insight on that, and she said last year it was mandated. This year it's not. I do understand that. I guess she also said that things may change depending upon the amount of cases. That kind of bothers me. I told her 1 is greater than 0. So at that point, and now there's 4 cases within 3 days, 4 days. You know what I mean? It rapidly spreads. So the mask thing, I do agree that the parents should have the right to send their kids with or without masks. There was plexiglass implemented last year as well, and I feel like that would be a good implementation. Also, the hand washing. I ask my son every day, how many times do you wash your hands? How many times do you guys sanitize? When I go to the bathroom, to me, I mean, that's just a general rule of thumb for just cleanliness. You know, we should probably implement that more. And I'm done.
Yeah,
So, well, not technically, I'm not technically done, but
You know, if you want to, we can stick around. I can stick around. You can
it was,
let me.
there's one more bullet point. That's all my bullet points.
Okay, right, yeah. If
The
you can,
last-
you
You want me
can,
to wait at the end?
if you don't mind.
That's fine.
You know,
That's
just to
fine.
stick with Antonio, if you have a response.
a lot of things, I'll help respond to those things. One of the things I will tell you, if you want me to respond,
Yes, that's fine.
is the
Yeah.
communication piece. I don't disagree that we have to look at how we're communicating different things.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge is, so when there's a positive case in a classroom, we communicate with that classroom, but we also
Correct.
do a building communication. But if there's close contacts, we do personal communication through the tracing piece. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So what you're saying, I think, is can we do an additional like call or a text, something along the lines of that? Is that,
Yeah, because like I said,
Same.
for the first time, he got
Right.
sent home with just a piece of paper because it was somebody in his class.
right?
The next day, it was the person sitting beside
Right.
him. But the person that sat across from that person didn't get a call.
Okay.
And they
Well,
didn't have to leave.
We'll
so.
definitely look at that. It's interesting because we have those guidelines that we have to do as far as communicating things out. And then you try to create balance of what's enough versus what's too much. Because I
Right.
had that email today too, which was, why do you keep sending me these things every single day? And, because we have, you know, with 3,500 kids, we're gonna have
Oh,
cases. you know?
absolutely.
So, but it's definitely something I think we can look at and reevaluate.
I'd rather you send me too much information about my
I
child's
understand.
health than not enough.
Yep, I understand. So I'll work with the nurses on that piece too, and the administrators that were here, but I think you said you have one more thing, I think I can give you answers on everything,
Okay.
if you have time.
He's the guy, he would know, yes. And thank you for understanding.
Well, thanks for listening
You know,
to
if we
me.
ever had several people, we, you know, gotta keep it on
No,
the
I agree.
thing, so, but we will, we'll get back with you, we'll get the last piece here afterwards. We will certainly, take everything you said, and, thank you very much. Okay, board members, anything?
No, just thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming in, voicing.
Mr. Bostic,
Yes,
I want to add something today, before we wrap up here. You guys all know that one of our employees passed away, Keith Stoller, longtime employee, incredibly committed to not just, the Piqua City School District, but the community. I mean, those people were just, you know, Cecilia and Keith, and everybody does. I mean, everybody does, so, but just a huge loss, not, like I said, not just as an amazing worker for us, but to the community. So, with that, keep them in your thoughts and prayers. I know that team's been struggling out there, and also, we have another employee who's in the hospital right now, having some challenges. So again, thoughts and prayers for that person too. So teaching staff member. So that's all I wanted to add.
Okay, now, executive session, we are going in?
We are not going to go into.
We are not
executive
gonna do
session. No.
executive session. Okay, just want to get clarification
Yep.
on that.
Tony, before we close,
Sure.
would it be appropriate to maybe give an update on where we stand with absences?
Student absences? I can tell you.
Employee even?
Yep, I can tell you generally, it wasn't working here a second ago. Let me see if I can get it to pull up, yeah.
Because
So
this is only the second week of school for us.
This is three,
Third.
right? Just first week is the reason you didn't hear a lot, because most of the kids that were sick or people were sick were just home. So then the second week, it starts to kind of uptick a little bit, and then we've just continued to see that. So we started our data tracking from 9/14, and I think some of you, or maybe all of you, have access to that sheet. So basically what we track is positive students, positive staff, any student quarantines, even if they're not ours. So if somebody calls in and says you're a close contact from outside, we just document that so we know what the time frame is when they'll be returning. And then staff quarantines, the same thing. If it's us versus outside, we just track it so we know who's going to be out when. Student attendance, staff attendance. So I'll get into the staff attendance and student attendance because we get a lot into the weeds with the other business, and then privacy concerns as well. So student attendance, we start tracking on 9/14, and we had 426 students out on 9/14, which is an exorbitant amount of kids out of school. I mean, at that point, you're talking about an 87% attendance rate probably. 421, 915, 444, 465, 469, 464, and today 462. So it's incredibly high. Now the good news is people are keeping their kids home if they're sick, or appear to be. I will also update you with, sometimes they're not. We had a situation with 2 positive kids in school for more than 3 days. So we have that challenge too, about working with folks to make sure that help them make a good decision when you're getting your kid tested, don't send, your student tested, don't send it back in, wait for that result. And then staff attendance, starting on the 14th, 8 out, 12, 10, 29, 26, 25, 22. Again, incredibly high numbers. And that's not just teaching staff, but you can imagine it with that number of people out. And those aren't all COVID cases, and neither are the students, so let's be real clear about that. But when they are COVID cases or COVID-related cases for staff, that's a 10-day minimum. 10-day minimum before we're going to get them back. And if they're teaching staff members, there aren't subs just waiting in line for any district, not just ours, just any district. So those are the challenges I think it's important that we're aware of. But attendance is, it's concerning, and we hope we see that flatten out and then drop off a little bit. So we'll watch it very closely, and obviously keep you all updated. That answer? Okay.
Yep.
Anybody else, anything?
I do have one question
Sure.
for clarification. A lot of people at the high school were asking, so it's kind of confusing because there's not really one set place to look for the rules because they're constantly changing, as I'm sure you're aware. If a student is wearing a mask, do they have to quarantine if they're exposed?
So the guidance is for 2 people masked, and nobody has to quarantine. We recommend, because that's the guidance that we have. And we're following the CDC guidance, so that's on our website, but it's also available at the CDC website. But essentially, what somebody within 3 feet, if you're masked up and you have a vaccine, you're coming back. If you're masked up and the other person's masked up, you're coming back without recommending a quarantine, if that makes sense. So ideally, if you're unmasked and you're vaccinated, you can still come back, but the recommendation is that you wear a mask for 14 days or get a test between day 3 and 5, I believe. And these are quickly off the top of my head. That's negative, and then you can return back to normal without the mask. So good question, because I think, and again, you're seeing most people when we say you're a close contact, we recommend that you stay home or you keep your kiddos home. They're doing that for the most part, so.
And you said this is on the school website?
I think it's on the website. I believe we published it on the website. I'll check for you, Nolan.
Thank you.
Because if it's not, we need to make sure you have that.
I know I think County Health and CDC have that chart, isn't
Yep.
it? Okay.
It is.
Yeah. It's on there as well. It's a flow chart.
Good question. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Good questions.
Okay.
Thanks for
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, next regular Board of Education meeting is October 21st at 6 p.m. here at the Board of Education office. So if I can get a motion for adjournment, we will adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we are adjourned, and thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you very much.